Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hammer Territory podcast. This is episode 235. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Sunday afternoon. It's mid to late July, and I'm joined, as I often am, by Scott Coleman. Boy, Scott, they lost again today, huh? That's 9 in a row on Sundays. We're feeling good, and feeling good for other reasons other than baseball, I guess.
Officially more than 2 months since the Braves have won on a Sunday. We have done it. This has to be the longest stretch of winless Sundays, maybe even winless days of the week. I know there was that one year they didn't win on Mondays for a long time, but man alive, in some ways, the weekend series against the Yankees was kind of a perfect encapsulation of the season. Great, really fun win on Friday night. Things are great on Saturday. And by maybe the fifth or sixth inning on Saturday to the end of Sunday, it was just a slow, painful train wreck. And I guess more of the same for this team it was like 1% before coming out of the All-Star break, and going 1-2 against a good Yankees team is not what they were looking to do.
I was going to say, there was a moment on Saturday when they had the lead where on social media, it was like people were trying to sell themselves a little bit on like, hey, maybe a little bit of life here from this baseball team that might actually get back into things. And an hour later, it was like, oh, this is over. We can be done with this. We'll get into that later. I promise we'll talk about all that stuff, plus the latest news and trade buzz. I should also say at the top of the show, we are part of the Foul Territory network of podcasts. And also we have a great giveaway going on right now in our chat BCC group chat. You play a trivia game for a shot at winning an authentic jersey, MLB jersey of your choice, worth up to $400. And you can set up right now at foulterritory.chat, play the trivia, crush it, and you might actually win something like that jersey. And we're picking one winner actually from 10 top scorers at random. The deadline is actually tonight as we're recording this podcast, July 20th, 11:59 Eastern time. Check it out. Join us, foulterritory.chat. And Scott, I think we kind of drew straws before we started recording to push off the game breakdowns until later on in the podcast. I think because of the state of things, that was our little teaser, as to say that they've been losing. We all understand the deal here. They're 43-55 now. They're 6-14 in the last 20 games. Like, let's just talk about that stuff later. There is some news and there is some, what I would say, buzz. And I want to also plug at the top of the show. I was not present for it, but Scott, Shawn Coleman, and Stephen Tolbert did what we just calculated as the longest episode in Hammer Territory history. Our most recent show on the feed. It was a trade deadline extravaganza. We might have gone longer on the old podcast, but since we had this new feed a year plus now, this is the longest show that's ever happened. I wasn't there to referee you guys. You went off the rails. No, I'm kidding, but I enjoyed it greatly as a listener and as a back-end producer. People should be listening to that now. And I would say, I don't know about you, it feels like it's all still very relevant right now. Like, obviously some of the details have changed on some of the guys, but I think it's pretty much all the same right now. Yeah. So deadline is still 10 days away, and it's really all there for you on that show.
Yep. Yeah, we talked at length. If folks missed the episode, everything in that hour-long discussion about all things Braves trade deadline, largely selling focused, but we did talk about the possibility of buying something in the next couple of weeks, especially if it's multi-years of control. But discussion about Iglesias and Ozuna and the other relievers, and maybe even kind of the more far-fetched ideas like a Shawn Murphy or a Grant Holmes. I think everything should and probably is on the table at this point, even if you have a president of baseball ops who has said, we're not doing this and we're not doing that. I mean, Brad, the team is below 500 since May of last season. All cards should be on the table. Like we've said a couple times, I think you probably have, 5 players who you just actively would not even entertain. Your Acuñas, Olsons, Schwallenbach, Baldwin, Strider, I guess, Sale probably. But other than that, man, like if a team wants to call and say, hey, let's talk about anybody not on that list, you should at least have that conversation.
I agree. I'm on record saying similarly. Like, I know what Alex said. We've covered what Alex has said. We've covered the reporting. We'll get into a little bit more of that actually in a couple of minutes. There is a dance that they can do here where you don't want to trade certain. Alex is going to say one thing, and we'll see what he does. But I'm with you. Like, there should be at least an availability of everyone but 5 or 6 guys on the roster to varying degrees. And in-season trades are hard, and I get all that. But that is well put. This is a team that has to be looking for a bigger reset. What I said most recently on the show, I think it was by myself at that point. I was like, basically, like, going into next season with the exact same roster is not tenable. Like that's not going to, I mean, I think that honestly, I would probably handle that better than most people, and I would be bothered by that. So you can imagine the fan response if they went into the next season with basically the same exact core of a roster. I think I'll be surprised if they do that, and people will not be very happy if they do that after this season. So more aggressiveness would be probably appropriate at this point.
Yes. Without having a crystal ball, I think the next 6 months for the Braves and the front office, top to bottom, you're going to likely have a new manager. I mean, that's virtually certain at this point. If you read some of the reporting from David O'Brien and Mark Bowman,
everyone is kind of saying exactly, basically, hey, no one's even talking about like it's possible anymore. It's like they're just assuming that's going to retire, like not even like hiding it at this point. No one said that. No one's reported that's definitely happening, but you know what I mean? Like just the way you read the little between the lines, even Bob Nightingale today, which we'll talk about in a second, was just like almost like when Brian Sticker retires. It's like not even like a if at this point. It's like he's going to hang it up.
Yeah. So new manager, likely a new coaching staff for the most part. I mean, I would really hang on to Rick Kranitz, but besides that, I mean, I'm not emotionally attached to anybody else. So I think you're going to have at least a pretty big coaching overhaul, maybe some front office shakeup, not with Anthopoulos, but his lieutenants and everything like that. He might have some movement. Of course, this roster, you're right. I mean, they cannot, with a good conscience, run this thing back next season. Now, I'm not saying you overturn half of the roster, but they have to figure something out. This year is lost. Last season was not as good as anybody wanted, even if there were the injuries. It feels like kind of a crossroads moment for the team, and they're going to have to make some big decisions here soon, and I guess that would probably start at the trade deadline in the next 10 days, even if there's not expected to be a blockbuster necessarily.
Right. We agree there. A couple news items before we dive into some trade discussion. Austin Riley took BP on Friday and then ran apparently in front of people today on Sunday. It seems like the projection is he'll be back pretty soon. In fact, Mark Bowman just actually went as far as to say that he quote unquote expects him to be activated on Tuesday when he's eligible. That's not a full blown report, but that's notable to me that he said that. Good. That's good. Obviously, you don't want to rush him back. If there's any doubt, I'll speak for myself. If there's any doubt at all, hold him out for as long as he needs to be held out for. Do not rush him back in the season, in the middle of a season that is going nowhere. But if he's okay, that's obviously just the best case scenario. So hopefully they've kind of dodged a bullet on Austin.
Yeah, absolutely. And Austin, before the injury, was starting to turn it on a bit. And he's a player who's been really good over the summer months throughout really his entire career. And really ever since Austin hurt himself in St. Louis, I never got the vibe that this was any kind of serious injury. You got to be smart, got to be careful, and hopefully Austin comes back soon and can have a good final 2 months of the season, because I think everybody would sleep a little better if Austin becomes more of the Austin Riley that we all love and also has like 7 years and $160 million left on that contract if he goes out and produces at the level we have seen him, even in a year where the Braves probably aren't going to have a lot to play for down the stretch.
We're in agreement there. The results, not the most important thing, but get your one of your franchise guys back on the field healthy, get right for next year, reset, all that fun stuff would be very important. Okay, Scott, now we will have a segment on today's podcast from our friends at Truist. It's called Money Moves. It will focus on the latest trade buzz around the Braves.
Show me the money.
Show me the money! Show me the money!
All right, Scott, we will dive in now to a Bob Nightingale report from USA Today. Now, I have poked plenty of fun at Bob over the years. I will put this in the category of not the same as when our colleague Ken Rosenthal reports things or when Jeff Passan reports things, your nemesis, Jeff Passan, but notable nonetheless, and it made the rounds today. Bob reported two different things. So we'll kind of tackle them separately here on the Money Move segment. One of them was not really breaking news, but it was that the Braves are kind of letting teams know, is the way that Bob put it, that Ozuna, Iglesias, and Pierce Johnson are available right now in trade. Now, we've talked about those guys endlessly already. That's not breaking news. It does give us an opportunity to talk about Ozuna a little bit because he started today on Sunday, but previous to that, he sat 4 out of 5 games, and including the first 2 after the break. And that is a notable change that a lot of us have called for, but it's happened. He has been bad for probably 2.5, 3 months now after a hot start. What do you make of that? Because, I mean, we've covered it before, but it became more stark in the last few days. And obviously, I know you want to put out your theory that you put on social media probably about what's going on here. But Marcell is now sitting more than he's playing, at least for the last week and a half, which is a pretty big deal for a guy who has just written it in pen every single day for years.
Yep. It's weird and maybe interesting, the timing. So seemingly at some point over the last week, Brian Snitker and the Braves made a calculated decision that Baldwin and Murphy are going to play basically every day. Now, Murphy sat on Sunday, although he did catch on Saturday night, so that makes sense. It's not like they're going to totally banish Ozuna when he's on the roster, but clearly some things have changed internally with how the Braves want to handle the second half of the year. And the timing to me was weird, and I had a hypothesis about this if folks missed it, but the Braves played Ozuna every single day after they announced he had the torn hip. And Ozuna was awful. One of the worst hitters, one of the worst overall players in the game. And it's like, yeah, he's hurt. I can only imagine. I mean, baseball's hard enough. Now do it with a literal tear in your hip that's going to require surgery. It's no surprise, especially a guy in his 30s. He's already slowing down and on the back nine of his career. So the timing to me is weird. I do wonder if the Braves maybe approached Marcell about waiving his 10-5 rights, which, if folks don't know, if a veteran player has 10 years of service and 5 consecutive years with one team, he has a built-in no-trade clause. Maybe there's something behind the scenes there where Ozuna indicated he wasn't going to waive it, or that he has a very small list of teams that he's willing to waive it for. And hey, he's a veteran, Brad. Like, they don't call them yes trade clauses. Like, you have the right as a veteran to not move and to up your family, up yourself, especially if you only have 2 months left on your contract. So I don't know. It was just kind of some dot connecting and just weird timing that the Braves played Ozuna every day for a month. And now suddenly he's basically benched, or is going to be benched other than in day games. Weird vibes. The whole Ozuna thing has been weird for 6 weeks now. And I don't know. I mean, maybe they can move Ozuna and just kind of clear roster space, because no team is going to give significant money for Ozuna right now in his current state, or significant prospects, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what they're doing. I think it spoke volumes that today was when he played. You mentioned it briefly, but Murphy catching last night, it's like, usually don't want to have that guy play the next day. So it was kind of the lowest leverage spot to play him today. Like, if he sits on Monday again, I won't be surprised. It seems like they just kind of pulled the plug on Ozuna for now. And like you said, he has to waive his trade rights or else he'll be on the team. But it seems like the message is either being sent publicly or privately or both to say, hey, Marcell, if you want to be here, that's cool, but we're not going to play you much if you are, which is okay with me. Like, I understand that. Both sides are doing the right thing here. I would say if you're Marcell Ozuna, if you don't want to move, and we're speculating, if you don't want to move, you have the right in your contract to say, nope, all good. And the Braves then have the right to not play you. And that's where they are. Like, yeah. And again, we're assuming, reading between the lines, not reporting anything, but that does make sense. And that was notable to me. One more thing on this part of the Bob Nightingale report. I don't understand the Pierce Johnson thing, because his availability, and it appears that he's just available. And that's fine, by the way. We've talked about that. I'm totally fine with him being available. Relievers in particular should be available. But he is under team control for next year. So I don't understand why he is just included with the guys who are expiring contracts and other guys are not. Like, again, I have no beef with him being traded. I would probably try to trade Pierce Johnson. But I don't really get the disconnect. Like, from Alex's perspective, like, Alex was very clear, and we've poked fun at that, but Alex said, hey, we're not going to trade anybody with team control. He has team control. Pierce Johnson has a club option for next year. So not sure where the breakdown is, or if there even is a breakdown. Maybe he won't be traded, but it's just one of those interesting things that I'm finding. It's like people are just forgotten that he has a club option. It's like, no, that's team control too. He's under contract.
And only $7 million for Pierce Johnson next year. I mean, that's a good rate. I mean, I know $7 million is a lot of money for a reliever, but that's really, I mean, that's below the going rate. What did AJ Minter get? 2 years and $20 million, and he was coming off of a bad hip injury a year ago. So it's not a bad contract by any means. And it's funny, we talked about the relievers extensively on that trade deadline preview show. I don't know about you, Brad. I've kind of changed my tune a little bit. I think now I am firmly in the camp of, short of just getting absolutely nothing for them, trade Pierce Johnson, trade Aaron Bummer, trade Iglesias. You're not going to get much for him, but trade Iglesias. Get rid of Ozuna if you can. If Ozuna doesn't want to waive his no trade, whatever. He can sit the bench for 2 months and play on occasion. As long as Baldwin is in there every day, that's really all I care about, whether Ozuna is around or not. But it feels to me like they need to get off of all of the expendable contracts that they can get off and go into this offseason with as much money and as much flexibility as they can. Because frankly, for the $16.5, $17 million that Pierce Johnson and Aaron Bummer are due next year, you can probably replicate, if not improve upon it, in free agency. You could even, go the route of like Dylan Dodd as one of your lefties and then save money and throw money at a DH or at a starting pitcher or at a middle infielder. It's just the middle of this bullpen is so far down my priority list right now for this team in 2026 that if they can move them, as long as it's not for just an absolute nothing prospect, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, we agree on that. It's just interesting to me. I don't get it. I don't get why that's ignored. Maybe Alex is going to try to spin that in a different direction if they trade him. I don't really get it, but we're going to be on the record. Pierce Johnson's under team control. So if he gets traded, I'm fine with it, but it doesn't make sense with what they've actually said on the record.
Yeah.
All right. Part 2 of the report was that Nightingale says that the Braves are, quote, expected to listen, end quote, on 3 players this winter. None of them are huge surprises, but this is notable. Shawn Murphy, who makes some sense to at least listen on him, even though he's good. Ozzie Albies and Michael Harris. Interesting. Now, all 3 of these guys are in different situations. Clearly, Murphy is actually good this year, has been playing very well. Top 10 catcher in baseball conservatively this season. That's how good he has been. Although people haven't noticed that. He has been really, really good. But Drake Baldwin exists, so that kind of makes sense, right? Albies has been bad. We'll talk about he's actually had a good weekend. And Michael Harris had a better weekend, but he's been, of course, quite bad this season. What do you make on any of this stuff? Like, is it kind of a no duh? Is this notable? Like, where do you kind of fall on this reporting and its interest level?
So I would almost separate those 3 players into almost 3 different groups. We've talked about Shawn Murphy a lot. I don't think anyone wants to actively get rid of a really good catcher, but the Braves might have to do it. If it means you can improve the middle infield, find a shortstop for the future, find a second baseman for the future is probably something they're looking to do. The rest of the roster needs help too. So I think we've talked about Murphy enough. It makes sense. If somebody wants to blow the Braves away in an offer for Murphy, let's do it. The Padres have a ton of really good prospects I would love to get our hands on to build the future. Or the Rays, or just a player production machine, Tampa Bay Rays. Any other team that needs a catcher, I am sure Alex is going to have a conversation about Murphy, but I do think it's probably more of a November and December conversation than in the next 10 days. We'll see. Ozzie Albies, I didn't really know what to make of that, Brad. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I saw it a few hours ago. I guess the Braves could pick up Ozzie's option and then think about trading him. I can't imagine there's 29 front offices fighting over this player who up until 2 days ago had shown nothing offensively all season long. And then with Michael Harris, you'd be selling so low that I never want to do that. It'd be like buying a stock at $100 and then selling it at $35. Like, what's the point? Like, unless you think the company's going bankrupt, which you might.
I was gonna say, like, if for them to trade Michael Harris, they have to believe that it's gonna be bad, and like they have to get out. It's just getting off the money. That's the whole thing on Michael Harris. I get what you're saying, and this will be an offseason discussion we have, because I think even Nightingale makes it clear, like, they're not getting moved anytime soon. I think that's fair. Harris. Yeah, it would be hey, we have information that other clubs don't have, and we don't think it's coming back. Mm-hmm. And if somebody still believes in the bounce back, we can at least get off the money kind of thing and get nothing for him. Honestly, that's what if you're trying Michael Harris, it's probably just like giving him away on the contract. You're not going to get positive value on Michael Harris right now because he's got a lot of money owed to him. So that's, you're right to separate these guys. The Ozzie thing is tricky because, and again, grain of salt on the reporting, but if you were going to plan to listen on him this winter, you should trade him now. Like, especially Ozzie. Like, Michael, if you want to say, Michael, it's been so bad this season, let's just reevaluate in the winter, totally fine. Shawn Murphy, he's a catcher, reevaluate in the winter, get all that. And I'm not saying they should trade Ozzie. I think Ozzie is still better than he's been this year. I'm skeptical that there's like a full on bounce back coming from Ozzie, but he's not expiring, and that they have the club option that they have to buy him out of. It's $4 million. But like, if you felt this way enough to have this leak to Bob Nightingale, like, wouldn't you just want to trade him now and give the other team a chance to like make that decision for you? Because I guess there's a school of thought where you could just pick up the option as soon as you have to, and then try to trade him on $7 million. And I do think that there probably is a team somewhere that's like, you know what, Ozzie Albies has been basically a star level player. He had one really bad season. Maybe we'll try to rehab him. That team might exist. But you're right. There won't be like a 5-team bidding war for Ozzie Albies, I don't think, at $7 million. So it's tricky. And
one note on Ozzie I wanted to say out loud. He broke his wrist on July 21st last season. Yep. So it has been a full year since he broke a wrist. And wrist injuries are really tricky, especially for baseball players. So maybe Ozzie's just getting some of that strength back, the mobility, the twitch that you need in order to flip a bat at a really quick rate of speed in order to hit a 98-mile-an-hour baseball. This weekend was a great step in the right direction. Probably the best weekend that Ozzie has had all season long. If he can reestablish himself, because I think everybody in Braves country is rooting for Ozzie Albies. There is nothing more than I want than Ozzie Albies to be a good second baseman for this team in 2026 and 2027. But up until 2 days ago, he has shown very little that the Braves can bank on that happening.
Yeah. Everybody loves Ozzie. I do too. It's just what it is. But look, we'll come back. All the winter trade stuff we will get to, probably even in August and September, because it might be a lot of meaningless baseball that we're covering on this feed. But it was notable to me that he named those three players, and to your point, they're all in different kind of buckets. But I do think that I would once again say, like, if you were thinking this way about Ozzie, I think you should think about that in the next 10 days. And I don't want to trade Ozzie. I love Ozzie. That he's probably the only guy. Well, I will freely admit on the podcast, some of my analytical brain kind of turns off, and I'm like, just don't trade one of my favorite players. And you know me, I'm not really like that, but Ozzie's kind of the only one of these guys. Even Murphy, who like I am very, very high on compared to everybody else. I don't have the same connection with Murphy that I do with Ozzie. I love Ozzie. I always have. So there's that. And I'm also not trading Acuna, so that's different. But Ozzie's like the only guy who's like conceivably available where I'm like, please don't trade my nephew, basically. So anyway, I still would be fine with it, by the way, if they traded him. I would totally understand it. It would hurt me for a moment, and then it would be what it is. But I would really, again, this is a big if. I would think about it if they were going to think about it in 3 months. They should think about it right now. That would be what I would say. All right, Scott, that's it for the money moves today. Check out our friends at Truist. I'll be back in a second with more on the Braves. All right, Scott, let us discuss the weekend of action. It was not the most fun, although Friday was fun, I have to say. Let's go back to Friday quickly. The headliner of the whole weekend, maybe, as far as the national conversation about the Braves, was a moment that happened on Friday. Ronald Acuna Jr. made one of the most insane throws I've ever seen, and that anyone has ever seen, basically. If you haven't seen the replay of this, find it. It is somewhere on social media, I promise. If you were traveling or something this weekend, I totally get it. It's the summer. But essentially, how would you describe this play? He basically flat-footed threw out a runner on the fly from right field at third base in a way that like you just don't see in Major League Baseball. Is that an accurate description? I mean, it was just wild. Truly.
It was such an incredible throw that not only like Braves fans were talking about it, and not even baseball, like national baseball fans, national baseball writers. You had NFL and NBA writers that I follow talking and tweeting about Acuña's throw. People were saying it's the greatest throw they have ever seen. It was just, 301 feet with his back turned on the infield about a half second before he caught the ball. A perfect throw to Nacho Alvarez, and credit to Nacho for being so nonchalant to just literally take his hand, catch the ball, and then just swipe it a foot to the left to tag out the runner. I mean, it was perfection. I bet if the Braves tried to replicate that play 100 times, they couldn't do it. The perfect throw, like Nacho being perfectly placed. It was incredible. One of the coolest things I have ever seen on a baseball field.
And I know you told me, and I had the same experience, like some of our like total casual friends reached out to us and were like, this play is great. I'm like, yeah, this is one. So it's like, it like passed the mom test. It wasn't my mom that said it to me, but like, there's the famous mom, like, does your mom know about this play or whatever? It kind of got to that level where like everybody seemed to know about this play because it was so everywhere on social media. Yeah. I have to say, just to be myself, Scott, this is some terrible base running. Just horrible base running. I have to say that out loud. It was awful.
Terrible,
but hey.
Terrible base running. But that's actually a credit to Acuna because the Yankees runner
He sold it.
And the Yankees base runner tagged up and must have thought there is no planet
100%.
where a nonchalant right fielder 5 feet away from the foul pole is going to throw me out at third base. And yes, he should have been running harder. He could have slid. But those guys have been playing baseball for 25 years. They know.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen. I mean, Yankees fans, Yankees commenters were really mad about this, and I totally understood why, because it was kind of a brain fart. But you're right. I had to say that. It was bad base running, but it's totally understandable for exactly what you said. Like, that does not happen. It does speak to Ronnie. Like, no one makes that throw that way. No one. It does not exist. In fact, I have a stat. It came from Hembo on Twitter, who says there have been more than 3,000 outfield assists over the last 5 years, like a player being thrown out from the outfield, 5 seasons. The only one thrown more than 300 feet in the air was this one. It was 301 feet in the air. And like, not from if you watch the play, he didn't get like a full running start at this. Like, he didn't gear up in the way that you would if you're trying to throw home. Like, that's why you have to watch the play. Like, it was casual, like in a way that was effective. But to throw the ball 300 feet like that in the air without loading up is outrageous. It was. And that was, I know it's one play in a lost season, but my God, it was just completely ridiculous. So you can sense our excitement. It was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was on the list of things I've enjoyed recently.
I've said it before on the show. The Braves could be 30 games out of the playoff race, and I'm still tuning in to watch Acuna swing the bat. He had a 455-foot homer on Sunday, had that insane throw. He looked so good. Just so happy for Ronald. Looked like he had the time of his life at the All-Star game over the week down in Atlanta. I mean, just a special player, special talent. I mean, it was like a Bo Jackson level throw. Like, just like special.
Stuff of legend.
Yeah, special in every sense of the word.
If that happened 25 years ago, pre-internet, it would be one of those like legend plays where you figure like there's only 30,000 people there, but there's 300,000 people that say they were there, kind of thing. Like one of those, like you tell your kids about kind of throws. And it may not be that because it was on, it made the rounds. Nothing sticks like that anymore. Just nature of the beast. But outrageous play by Ronnie, and he's just so much fun. Elsewhere on the game on Friday, Ozzie's home run, which you mentioned, he actually hit 3-run homers on back-to-back days, and he had been, you mentioned this before, but pretty bad for a while. And a nice weekend for Ozzie. It kind of broke the game open in the one win they had over the weekend. And then Spencer Strider was the other big story. He threw 6 innings. He was really, really good. And the Yankees came into the series, and I think are still right now, leading the American League in runs scored. So this is a big-time offense, and Strider just made them look pedestrian. Like, he looked really, really good. And that's not a shock. It's Spencer Strider, but like, he was notably effective on Friday.
6 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts, and 21 whiffs for Strider.
That's a lot.
I think he is all the way back over his last 7 starts. So basically, whenever Strider came back from the hamstring, which was probably a worse injury that we collectively didn't give enough leeway for, you come back from the elbow, you make 1 start, and then you miss another month and basically go back to 0, having to build up your strength and rhythm on the mound. But in the last 7 starts for Strider, he has a 2.53 ERA, a 2.4 FIP, 2.61 xFIP, and maybe most on an exciting level, a 34% strikeout rate and a 9% walk rate. For Strider's career, he has a 33% strikeout rate and an 8.5% walk rate. So virtually identical, his numbers across the board. He looks so good. I know he's not pumping 99 quite like he used to. He's been more like 95, 96, has 98 in his bag when he needs it. But he's just such a good pitcher. He's smart. He threw a curveball to Aaron Judge for strike 3. And even Judge kind of gave him a look like, what the hell did you just throw me? Because he doesn't usually throw it. Usually it's fastball, slider, and then, okay, 3-2 count. Let me spin a curveball up there that's 10 miles an hour slower than everything else. And Judge swung. He missed it by like 2 feet. And I mean, Strider, he's just so good, man. And I'm so happy that he's been able to come back after that elbow surgery a year ago.
Yeah, and I think you're right about him not throwing quite as hard. That might never come back. That's fair to say. But I think it's a credit to him. And I think he's now, you don't want to overreact. It's only 7 or 8 starts, but he's shown he can be an ace without it. That was one of the questions people had. Like, all right, if he's not sitting 98, can he be an ace? Like, and I think the answer to that is probably yes at this point. He may not be like the best pitcher in baseball, which is what he was for a little bit of time pre-injury. Like he actually was, like by the metrics, the best pitcher in baseball for like 6 months. He may not be that anymore, but I think he could be an ace like this. We've seen that. So that's encouraging.
Yeah. And it's just, long-term, big picture next year, if you can get a healthy Strider, healthy Sale, healthy Schwellenbach, or even a mostly healthy trio there's a lot to dream on. They have to figure out some other things, but that is as good of a 3-man rotation as there is in Major League Baseball.
A glorious undersell by you to say they have to figure out some other things. Yes, they do, Scott. They have a few things to figure out beyond that. You're right about the 3 of those guys. Okay, let's talk about Saturday, and we'll split it up. The bullpen is going to be in a minute. We'll get to the bullpen in a minute because it was actually kind of a legendary meltdown. The fun stuff from Saturday. Michael Harris walked. 3 words. Michael Harris walked. I'm going to throw it over to you because you were tracking this even more than I was. But his first walk since May 18th. That's not a misprint. It is July 20th. He's played basically every day and has not walked. And it's been 2+ months. But hey, he walked. We all celebrated.
The last time Michael Harris walked was the same day the Braves won on a Sunday.
And they were 24-23 back then, Scott. They were over 500.
170 plate appearances without a walk. I'm sorry, 178 plate appearances without a walk. Everyone was aware. Tom Goodwin at first base gave Mike a hug. The dugout knew. The fans in attendance, I think, knew. Like, credit to the Braves fans who were close to the field. They all were like standing up.
I mean, Twitter knew. I mean, there was an eruption. It was not just like us, the total sickos. Like even like the moderate sickos were like, Michael Harris walked. What's going on? It was hilarious.
Yeah. 178 plate appearances. That's so long to go. And what's funny, Harris had a 3-2 count, terrific at bat so far.
Yeah.
And then got a slider like almost in the dirt and fouled it off. And it should have been ball 4. And I went, no, another 30 plate appearances before we get a walk. And then he, I think, fouled off a pitch or 2 and then took ball 4 inside.
Yep.
More of that. For the love of God, there may not be a more important on the field storyline for the second half for the Braves then can Michael Harris figure some things out? And
it would be helpful in a lot of ways, contractually, offensively, planning for the future. Yes, they do need Michael Harris, and we've said it a number of times. They don't need Michael to be a great hitter. They need Michael to be a pretty good hitter. That's all they need him to be. Now, that's not as easy as it sounds, but he doesn't have to be awesome. He has to be passable.
Yep.
That would be huge if he was passable.
Ender Inciarte, Gold
Correct.
Glove center fielder, carried, a decent batting average, 700 or so OPS. That's not what we thought Michael Harris might be, but if he can be close to that all day long.
He could be a 4-win player if he's just like a slightly below average hitter. Like he's that good defensively at a premium position. Come on, Mike, put it together. Another guy that everybody's rooting for. Like everybody loves Michael Harris. Just hopefully figures it out. But he had a good day. He also homered in the same game. That was nice to see. Just a great day for him on Saturday. Home run and a walk. He hadn't homered in over a month. Like that was fun. When the Braves blew in their lead, they blew. We'll talk about that in a second. The other big thing was Ozzie's second home run in as many days. You mentioned the broken wrist. I don't know if 2 home runs in 2 days silences anything about Ozzie's concerns. Like it probably shouldn't, but it was something. And I think I'll be honest with you. The wrist injury is like not even been talked about by anybody. I don't think, and maybe it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know if that's the reason why he's been struggling. We don't know, but like he does, for a guy as small as he is, he does rely on power, and he always has. He's got to have power, and maybe the power coming back would be enough to get him back over this same kind of thing. Like, because he's so cheap, Ozzie can just be like a average hitter and be a profitable player on his contract. It's just that he hasn't even been that.
And hopefully the 4 days off at the break kind of gave Ozzie and really the whole team just a mental reset, a physical reset. Just get away from the game for a couple of days. And hey, we're all rooting for Ozzie. We're all rooting for Mike. We want these guys to be contributing pieces. But obviously the first half of the year was just so bad that you at least have to have this conversation now.
Yes, no question. One more good storyline from Friday, then we'll have a break and we'll get to the rest of it. From Saturday. Joey Wentz, who we did chronicle, came back to the organization previously. He made a start on Saturday. It was his first MLB start of any kind in about 2 years. 2023 was his last start. He looked pretty good through 4 shutout innings, 2 hits and a walk. Like, the numbers for him dating back a few years are not the best. Like, he's been a quad A guy. That's what he is. But maybe he found something. Maybe the Braves identified something with him. Of course, he was a ballyhoo prospect at one point in time. And he's certainly earned another start, you'd imagine. Like, where the pickings are with the Braves rotation right now. Yeah. Like, throw him out there again and we'll see.
Yeah, I think Wentz has looked legitimately good. I think he's thrown 7 innings now between 2 games and looks good. He's gotten some swing and miss. I will say the Braves this time had him go 4 innings, so we saw the top of the Yankees lineup a second time. And it got a little hairy. They put 2 runners on. They hit a ball pretty hard a couple times. So I don't know if Wentz is ready to go 6 or 7 innings. That would be a dream. I mean, if they could pluck this guy and turn him into something, that would be a dream scenario, not just for this year, but potentially next, because he's a talented guy. He throws pretty hard from the left side. We'll see. But I think the big next challenge for Wentz is get through a lineup once, but then can he do it a second time? Because that's a lot easier said than done for a guy who has struggled over the years.
That is the big hurdle to clear for a kind of, again, quad A, fringy guys. Like, can you do this more than once? And we'll see. All right, Scott, in a second, we'll get to the bullpen disaster class from Saturday briefly, just for the raw numbers and the craziness of it all. And then we'll look ahead briefly to the week that's to come. First, though, a word from our partners on the show. Nothing beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching baseball. And the simplest way to get in on the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Nail your picks and you're heating up. Pick 6 brings upside with payouts up to 500 times. Pick 6 from DraftKings is the most fun way to play fantasy sports. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get a special sign-up offer. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Okay, Scott, one more wrap up from Saturday's game, and it was the bullpen disaster that transpired. It was one of those very 2025 Braves losses, and that it was maddening to see unfold. It was like a slow motion car wreck. We all saw it coming the entire time. They blew the lead, et cetera, et cetera. They're up by 5. I think it was 5-0 and 7-2. So they're up by 5 runs twice. Yep. But the bullpen was responsible. And I will preface this by saying the Braves bullpen has gotten a lot of heat online this season. The Braves bullpen has been pretty darn good, actually, this season. It doesn't always feel like it. It was not the case on Saturday. It was an absolute disaster. But the number was that I'll throw out there now. The Braves coming into Saturday were 8th in all of baseball in bullpen ERA, 3.60 for the season. Not in the National League, in all of baseball. That's really good for a team that has a bunch of issues in the bullpen. Iglesias' blow-ups this season, no Joe Jimenez, like all those things. To be top 10 in ERA with that group, pretty darn good. But it was so bad on Saturday that they went from 8th to 12th in one day, and they went from 3.6 ERA to 3.85 ERA in one day in July. To have a team ERA go up a quarter run in one day in July seems impossible because it probably should be, but they allowed 12 runs. The bullpen allowed 12 runs in the game. 12. Joey Wentz, 0 runs. Bullpen, 12 runs. It was just Absolutely unbelievable, honestly, how bad it was. And it was everybody, by the way. It was everyone that came in. There was one player, and it was actually Rafael Montero, who was not charged with a run, but he came in, bases loaded, nobody out, and all three guys scored. He actually pitched fine, to be honest with you, but all three guys did score. They just weren't charged to him. So it was basically everyone that was bad. It was just wild.
It was historic in some ways, and we won't relive all the pain and trauma. But, I mean, you know, Raisel Iglesias hanging a middle slider.
Oh, you know what? Okay, let's talk about the slider, because you and I were in some back and forth on Twitter about this, and I just was pointing out to people, just with the sheer fact that Raisel has been really good for like 6.5 weeks. He didn't allow a single run for 6.5 weeks. At no point did I say he was having a great season, because he obviously isn't. He was really bad before that. We all know that. But he had literally just had 15 consecutive scoreless appearances. That's not something you could just snap off. That's impressive, actually. But his slider is so bad, Scott. Like, I can't. I mean, it's the cement mixer has been thrown out there. The numbers are. Are you ready for the number I pulled from Statcast? This is the one. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, it's so bad, folks. Like, if you're standing up, sit down for a second.
So it isn't that many sliders, because he kind of stopped throwing it for a while. And by the way, the results got better. I don't know why he's throwing it again. No idea. But according to Statcast, as of today, Iglesias' slider has allowed a 1,286, so almost a 1,300, not OPS, slugging percentage. Opponents have a slugging percentage only of 1,286 against Iglesias' slider. That is basically like a triple every time. Like, it's not quite triple, but still close. He's allowed 6 of his 8 home runs of the season on the slider, while throwing it only like 10% of the time. It's basically, his other pitches have been, to varying degrees, good to great this year. And his slider has been, I didn't look at enough of this to know. I'm pretty confident on like a per pitch basis, it might have been the worst single pitch of any pitcher in the league.
It has to be.
That's how bad. I mean, it has to be. Because again, a slugging percentage above 1,200. An OPS of that is like Aaron Judge. And that's his OPS. That's on base plus slugging. Yeah. Slugging almost 1,300. I checked it 3 times. I was like, they can't. No, it is. It's true. Look it up. Statcast. Thank you for your service, Baseball Savant. But that is unbelievable. Why is he throwing it? I'm not going to defend that. I've defended Raisel several times this year. You can't. Why is he throwing? And by the way, I don't know if it's a organizational thing. I don't know if he's being stubborn. I don't know if it's catch. Whatever. He cannot throw sliders anymore. Can't do it. And by the way, he'll probably traded in the next 10 days anyway. It won't matter. But what are we doing? Stop throwing your slider. Stop.
Yeah. I don't know. You said it all. Those numbers are insane. Like, actually
1286.
Yeah.
Slugging.
I mean,
man.
Most hitters don't have like a combined batting average on base and slugging.
No.
That high.
No one does.
I mean, other than
that's a star. I mean, it's a superstar. And I am obliged to point out, for the sake of accuracy, the Braves had already blown the game when he came in. Yeah. Like, I understand he gave up it was a grand slam, so it was even more pronounced. You lose by 3. I get all that. They blew the 5-run lead before he walked onto the mound. It was everybody in the bullpen.
Yeah.
He just had the biggest swing because it was tied and they were still alive in the game, and it was a terrible pitch and all that stuff. But man, just a game to forget. The first half was fun, honestly.
Yeah.
We already mentioned that. That's why I separated it into like first segment, second segment, because it was the first half of the game was actually a lot of fun.
Hopefully there were no scouts, 0 scouts at that game scouting the bullpen for trade purposes. Because I mean, everyone was bad. You said Pierce Johnson gave up a homer.
De Los Santos. Yeah.
Dylan Lee has been pretty bad now for a month. Anya De Los Santos, I just have no confidence. Montero was really the only one who did a decent job of getting out of it.
And by the way, Matt also made an error. Like, we love, he's been the best defensive first baseman in baseball this year. He makes an error at the worst possible time. Just everything went wrong for like 2 hours. It just was not a lot of fun. All right, moving on. Sunday's game was a lot more straight ahead. Grant Holmes pitched pretty well, I thought, for someone who didn't have his best stuff. Pretty clearly, he didn't have it, but he navigated it. Give up 2 runs in the first inning, and then give up 3 total in 6 innings. Like, did enough to win the game, just didn't, because they couldn't score. But anything else to add? I thought Grant was like pretty, what's the word I would use? I think he just did enough to navigate his stuff. He just didn't have it, and it pitched well. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, tough opponent for Holmes, good lineup, a lot of balance, lefty, righty. You know, the Yankees, as you said off the top, I think they lead the American League in runs scored. So
they do.
For a pitcher like Holmes, who has that insane slider, that's one of the better pitches in the game, but doesn't have much else that he can consistently go to, it's going to be tough. But at the end of the day, 3 runs over 6 innings against a good Yankees team, it could have been enough, I guess. Maybe it's not a guarantee by any means, but totally
He pitched fine. He pitched fine. You take that from a middle of the rotation, if not back half of the rotation, kind of level guy on most teams. He has a 3.77 ERA for the season coming in. He now has it's now 3.81. Grant Holmes has been everything you possibly could have wanted him to be this season. Other than that, Dane Dunning pitched for the first time with the Braves through 3 innings. Looked fine. Looked pretty good. A guy that could help them. I don't know how much the role's going to change. Maybe he'll start at some point down the stretch of the season. Maybe he'll be the long reliever. We'll see. But we talked about Dane Dunning. I mean, I know you guys kind of broke that during the show on Thursday, but we talked about him in the winter, like I said, like an off the radar target for the Braves, like a cheap guy, and that's what he is. But I think he's a real major league arm, so that's nice.
Yeah, he's better than your Jesse Chavez. He's better than some of the organizational filler they have in Gwinnett. And sure, Dunning, they're going to need players to eat innings, especially if at some point they're going to shut down Grant Holmes. I would be shocked if they have Holmes go all the way to the finish line. I mean, frankly, he might run out of gas by. I mean,
we'll get to this later, but do you throw Strider all the way through September if you're 15 games out of it? I would say no. I mean, I'd be shutting guys down. I mean, Chris Sale's going to want to fight anyone who tells him he can't pitch, but like, sorry, Chris. Like, if they're out of it in September, like, you cannot throw Chris Sale. You cannot throw Schwellen Bach. Like, I wouldn't throw anybody in September if it matters. If it doesn't matter, and it probably won't. So,
and it feels like the Braves are kind of preparing for that internally. Like J.R. Ritchie, who is someone who's really having a good year. Ritchie was promoted to Gwinnett recently, maybe the second best pitching prospect in the organization. We've seen Didier Fuentes. Hurston Waldrop is probably. So I think over the next 2 months, and especially in September, we're going to see some young. I mean, it's going to be weird because you're going to see a lot of Gwinnett kids come up and make starts and eat innings because there's just no need to push these guys to the very end and risk an injury or really just, I mean, they're kind of throwing useless innings at that point.
Yeah. He's not super young, but Davis Daniel's going to pitch on Tuesday for the second time. Another guy that's like an or guy, quad A guy, but could be fine. We'll see. One more note from Sunday quickly, just 2 absolutely massive home runs from Ronnie and Olsen. You already mentioned Ronnie's, but Olsen's was like on the roof at the Chop House, like an absolute tank of a home run. Of course, they were both solo shots in a 4-2 loss, but just 2 mammoth, like truly mammoth blasts. Like, it was only Ronnie's second most impressive thing of the weekend, but it was that was a like only an elite guy hits the ball there. It was like 460 or something like that. It was just ridiculous, an absolute tank.
Yeah, off a really good closer too in New York. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same for the offense. Matt Olson crushes one. Ronald Acuna Jr. crushed one. Nobody's on base, and that was it for the offense. I mean, they didn't really. They had.
That was actually it.
Yeah, they had a chance or 2 earlier in the game, but nothing really. I mean, it was just kind of this offense that we've known.
They had the one chance, and Profar tried to bunt for reasons passing understanding. That was the one blown opportunity in the game. They had first and second, nobody out, and Profar pops a bunt up. I'm like, why are you bunting? Like, why? Anyway.
Know.
If the Braves were in the race, I would have spent 5 minutes on that on the show today. But they're not in the race, so we're not going to do that. But it was weird. All right, let's get out of here, Scott. Look ahead briefly. They play the Giants beginning on Monday. It is Bryce Elder on Monday, who was better in his last start to defend Bryce. He was pretty good in that Sacramento start about 2 weeks ago now. Then Davis Daniel, who I just talked about, and then Strider again on Wednesday. You know, every game is kind of a exercise in torture right now. The Braves have tied themselves for their worst record compared to 500 this season. They're 12 under right now. So one more loss tomorrow, they'd be the lowest they've been all year long. Playoff odds in the like 3% range of Fangraphs right now, which I think even is probably too high to be honest.
Feels about 3% too high, but yeah.
I would say I think it's more than 0, but it's like 1, not 3. So it's a small distinction. Anything else to add about this coming season? I mean, look, we said at the top. We'll say it again now. As people listen to the show on Monday, probably most people listen on Monday. It's 10 days away from the deadline, and everything is viewed through that lens. for the next 10 days. The games will keep happening on the field. Baseball will be played, but the number one story by far for a team that is this far out of it is the deadline. And then after the deadline, it's kind of like, all right, we reset and figure out what the next 2 months are going to be. But from now and then, it's 10 days of trade first, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the pitching in the series, the Braves do miss both Logan Webb and Robbie Ray. So that's nice. Hopefully the boys,
cool.
Yeah, why not? Win a couple games.
I mean, why though? I mean, I'm kind of kidding, but I'm kind of not. If you are someone who is inclined to root for losses, I wouldn't blame you. I'm not there yet, but if you're looking at Tankathon every day, I wouldn't blame you. I just really wouldn't
say tankathon.net, I think, is that great website. You can follow the Braves draft odds or lottery odds in one click. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Giants are a good team. They have fallen off pretty hard recently, but they're in the playoff mix in the National League, and we'll see. Maybe we'll do an emergency show in the next couple of nights because of a trade. It kind of feels like, I mean,
we're in that range now.
Yeah, the All-Star game was a little bit later this year, so we're 10 days out from the deadline. There's usually movement within the 10 days before, just because teams, I mean, obviously, if you have a desperate need for a bullpen, makes sense. I mean, every day that you don't add a
the Braves are a team. Yeah, the Braves are a team that bullpen-starved teams have to be called because even if Braves fans are not believers in Raisel anymore, I think he still has shown the ability to get outs. He still has a pedigree. You got Pierce Johnson, who appears to be very available. We'll see if Bummer's available. We don't really know. He's not been included in that stuff, but Montero is expiring contract. Call him, et cetera, et cetera. You guys covered that ad nauseum on the show earlier this week. But yeah, I mean, bullpen starved teams for sure. And if you need a DH, there's one available.
Buddy, do I have good news for you?
There's one available. You just mentioned the Giants. I just looked it up. They've lost 5 in a row as they arrive in Atlanta. So they are still much better than the Braves, but they're in a cold streak. Right?
This will be fast. The entire National League is kind of weird. Like the Dodgers have been flat out pretty bad for a while now. The Mets are having issues. The Phillies are having issues. It's a weird year.
But the Brewers have won 9 in a row.
Yeah. Which is like Brewers and Cubs are the 2 hottest teams by far. Weird year. Probably won't matter because the Braves are dead. But hey, it's I find myself following and paying attention a little bit more than just like when I'm like we're all so locked in on the Braves when they're in the middle of a pennant chase. They're not. So yeah, put on a little extra baseball, watch around, watch fans having fun at the ballpark instead of whatever it is.
What's that feel like? Yeah. All right, Scott. Well, we've covered everything that we can cover for today. We will have shows this week. I'm not sure what days yet. We'll play it by ear, but certainly if there are trades, we will react to them. If there is other news, we'll react to it. And in between, we'll have our usual coverage of everything going on in Braves land. Hopefully some follow-ups on the farm system, draft stuff, trade stuff, etc. So keep it locked. Please subscribe to Hammer Territory anywhere you find your podcasts. We very much appreciate everyone that's already doing that, but go ahead and do that. If you're new to the show, we welcome you in and hope you stick around with us. Scott can be found on social media at Scott Coleman 55. Is that correct, my friend?
That is the one, Brad. But please send all of your crazy takes to Brad because he loves that engagement.
I do love a good crazy take, Scott. I appreciate that. Follow the show on at Hammer Territory across social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can find us there. One more plea: YouTube, Apple, Spotify, ratings, reviews. Tell your friends. If you are a sicko and you're listening to us all the time, we definitely love that. Spread the word too. Tell a friend, tell an enemy, perhaps. Help us to spread the word. We appreciate it. And without any further delay, we'll sign off now, and we'll see everybody next time.